So the formula is you pick an upsell product. So first of all, upselling means they've already decided to buy one thing. It's not, you don't hit them with all this in the beginning. They've decided to buy that suit. So once they make that decision is when you show them the next thing. And if the next thing is related to the first thing, that's a part of the formula. If it's a cheaper thing than the first thing, and if it's a deal, that's the simple formula that's made me a fortune over many years. As they decide to buy one thing, I offer them something related that's cheaper and give them a deal on it.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling. I'm the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Because after all, we believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, we bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. Profit designers, does it feel like your business is taking over your life? It shouldn't be that way. Work should support life, not the other way around. And at Tap the Potential, we have a solution for you. You can get started on your journey with us to take your life back from your business by downloading my introductory training, How to Make Your Time Worth $10,000 an Hour. You can access it at tapthepotential.com/10K. So Tom, welcome back to the Profit by Design podcast. It's wonderful to have you with us.
I only have one purpose of being here this time. I want to know what's going on with your yarn business.
Well, I tell you what, life has a way of just taking us in different paths. And so since you and I spoke, so you were on episode 20, which would be 2 years ago, at least. Like the podcast was a baby at that point. So I've since gotten remarried. I have moved across the country. I'm still unpacking my house. I would love to be piddling with yarn, but I don't know where. I dream of one day having that opportunity again.
Is your daughter still doing her podcast?
She's not.
It was YouTube, I think.
You have an amazing memory. Yes, she actually is not, but I have a younger daughter who is coming up behind her who gets into all of those things. It seems to be like the phase these girls go through at a certain age where they get into all of that stuff.
Well, that's when I'll hire them for a period of time when they're into it because I can't figure this stuff out.
I know all this internet stuff. And that was one of the greatest tips that you shared in your episode with us is that when we are struggling with keeping up with the technology and the social media in our business, that one of the best places to look is the younger people, high school students, early college students. They're a tremendous resource.
Absolutely. You know, there's my cell phone. So I got it off so it doesn't ring for you. But one of my nicknames that my students gave me is called the King of Ka-ching, because I have my email set to go ka-ching when an order comes in. And so she drew up this thing with me sitting in a throne and all this. But I thought to myself, I'd like to have that as my ringtone on my telephone. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. But here's the thing, Sabrina, I'm looking at him thinking, it'll take me all day to figure this out. That's not worth it. One of the young people in the office came and took the phone, came back in 10 minutes, and it goes ka-ching. Do I care how she did it? No. Do I know how she did it? No. Does it go ka-ching? Yes. Right. So that's the kind of things that millions of things like that they can help you with and all the technical stuff. They came out of the womb swiping, screens and stuff, Yeah, so
I want to share with those who may not be familiar with you. I just want to give a little brief introduction and share that you've never had a job. You're an internet multimillionaire guy next door, and you're the founder of the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the country. You've also been the subject of a Hollywood documentary, The American Entrepreneur, that's going to premiere this fall coming up. So I want to hear an update on that because I imagine COVID really caused some delays with that. So tell us about the documentary.
Well, before I tell you about that, I want to tell you I did actually apply for a job once, Sabrina. It said 401k. And I'm thinking, man, that's a good starting salary, 401,000. You know, apparently that's not how it works.
You were a little disappointed when you had the real salary.
Yeah. So I didn't get that job. Yeah. So anyway, a lady that's got me started in professional speaking in the early 90s. His name was Dottie Walters. She wrote the book Speak and Grow Rich. And she was my first mentor that got me into the speaking business. And she passed away, and I was asked to do one of the memorial speeches for her out in California. So I did it, and there's loads of people there because she's helped so many people. And one of the ladies in the crowd was a documentary producer, and I met her for maybe 30 seconds, just, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you, and all that. And then she started following my career, and she's done 38 documentaries with Olympic athletes and all kinds of big shots. And she came up to me a couple years later and said, can I do a documentary about you? And I'm thinking, I thought you had to be dead to have a documentary about you. Wait a minute. As far as I know, I'm still kicking. She said, no, you don't have to be dead. And so she went on a project in the past couple of years doing a thing called The American Entrepreneur, based on the fact my dad came from Syria on a cattle boat as a child with nothing, basically, became an entrepreneur and turned me into an entrepreneur, and then I've helped thousands of people become entrepreneurs. So that's the basis of it. And it's been supposed to come out for a while, but all these Hollywood deals and the pandemic and everything. So she's still negotiating with certain places for the premiere. So that's what's going on. But I'm still just the guy next door.
Yeah, but I think you shared a link with us that we can put in the show notes. So those who are interested can go look at it. Very cool.
Thank you.
So one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you back on the podcast is you reached out to me about a project that's very near and dear to your heart, which is about supporting individuals with disabilities getting into the workplace. So tell me more about that.
I'm a little disappointed because I thought that you brought me back on for my boyish good looks, but apparently that's not the case. So, well, I started this school about 12 years ago because, I've been selling on the commercial internet since there was a commercial internet around 1994, and did very well at it. And I always thought, this is a perfect thing for people with mobility problems because they can not only legitimately learn from home, it's a distance learning school, but then they can legitimately work from home. Now, I've been preaching work from home for 23, 24 years because 44 years for me, I've been working from home. But if there's one golden lining to the pandemic is that everybody says, oh, you can work from home now. I didn't know that. So it's kind of mainstream. And I said, this is a good time for me to make my move on this, to help these people with mobility problems. So, everything is a surprise in life sometimes. So the first two people that apply are blind. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is not exactly what I had in mind. And, because I thought people just, are on walkers or lost a leg or something like that. So we've really been forced into, which I've always paid attention to, accessibility, which everybody really needs to pay attention to that on their websites and stuff. But now I'm taking it to the next level. They're going to get an internet certificate and can't see. The one guy's got vision of 2,500. The other lady just can see a little bit of light. So I'm learning, I'm seeing the light in all the little things I have to change to make this accessible for those two people. And the other person has got really bad ankylosing spondylitis. I mean, she's hunched over, got arthritis, and sometimes getting out of bed, she falls over because her joints can't support her weight. So I got two more folks that we can handle, and we're going to, my idea is it's a pilot program to get these people trained, hired, or start their own business, and then roll it out big. I took a grant writing course to go see where the big money is, that once I go with a proven concept that I can really change these people's lives, then hopefully some big money will roll in that I can help loads and loads of people. And one of the things that hit me in the face, Sabrina, is they are 3.7 times more likely to be depressed than an average person. They are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. And the unemployment is the highest it's ever been in 7 years from the latest figures that I could find. And so I'm going along with that. Probably self-esteem is low, quality of life is probably low, and I'm going to do something about it one way or the other.
I love that, Tom. And I love it for multiple reasons. So one of the things that we all know about right now is how hard it is for small business owners to find team members. Like, they're really struggling. And I would encourage any small business owner to consider, if you have any part of the role that can be done virtually, you have a much bigger network to pull from. Individuals with disabilities, when there are A players who have disabilities that make it, or limitations that make them not able to go into a traditional workplace, and they can be highly motivated, they want to do a good job, they're going to be so appreciative that you created the opportunity for them. And the reason I know this, I used to do, you don't know this about me, Tom, but back in the day when I was doing clinical psychology, I worked in a community mental health center, and I did psychological evaluations for the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. So these were people who had a reason that they couldn't work and they wanted to come back into the workforce. Many of them had physical disabilities or other, psychological issues. And they provided, as part of the recommendations I would give in the psychological evaluation, was job coaching. So someone who would come alongside them on the job and support them and train them so that it took the burden off the employer to do it. And the employer got credits for doing it. And so it became a really good source for the employers in town to work with the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. So I love what you're doing because you're creating those opportunities. And I am really curious, for the individuals who are visually impaired, what are the adaptations that you're making so that they can do the internet work?
Well, some of them have always been there. It's just I never thought to take advantage of them because I've been in business so long and nobody ever said, "Hey, Tom, we can't read your ebook." Nobody's ever even mentioned it. So what I found out is just the simple Microsoft Word has an accessibility checker right in the toolbar above, which I just, blind to it. That's probably not good reference there, but yeah, it's there. So it'll tell you the things that you need to change. So one of the things is the all graphics, and I've been teaching this online for years from an SEO standpoint, your alt description of your graphic needs to be filled in, because their screen readers, that's what they use to tell what the graphic looks like. So all it is right click, edit alt description, and type it in what the picture's all about. And now you have helped that person like infinitely, rather than, they just see nothing basically. So that's one thing. Another thing is the placement of the picture. The Word document said one of your problems, it's not in line. And so to make a Word document look nice, a lot of times the graphics are the words wrap around the graphic. Well, apparently that freaks out the screen readers. So all you do is right click, Word wrap, inline text. And so the text is here, the graphics here, and then the text starts again.
Yeah.
No big deal to a sighted person. It's not quite as fancy looking on the page, but who cares? So that was 2 things. And there's a title thing, but it tells you exactly what to do. You click on it and it takes you to that part of the document, and then you just fix it and move on. And once you convert it to a PDF, Adobe has an enormous helpful PDF checker for accessibility. So those are things you can do for no cost at all. Now, there's this a standard called WCAG2, something I think that's the big kahuna standard for accessibility. And it applies to colors and contrast and things like that. So I'm learning all about that. But most of the time, if it's black text on white, you're good to go. And then in our learning portal, we dug in deeper. They claim to be accessible. They say, here's an accessible theme for the school. So all I had to do was click a button, then it made the whole thing, the school portal accessible. So we're doing all that kind of stuff. Now, where we get into, it's going to be a lot more work is the videos. So we need to get the closed captioning on for hearing impaired people, and we need to put the entire transcript along with each video. And then what you get in, you have to start thinking when I create videos a little more, because if I just say, well, click over here because I'm showing it to them on the screen, over here means nothing to somebody who can't see what you're talking about. See? So we have to be a little more careful of how I create the videos, so that I say, on the left side of your portal will be a list of something or other, and you click on the third thing down that says this, that, and the other. So it's just a little more effort, but to give these people a hand up. I mean, a lot of them have been dealt a hand a lot more difficult than you and I or an average person. For instance, if I want to go down to 7-Eleven, I jump into Suburban, I'm there and back in 15 minutes. Slurpee in hand, maybe. But, for one of these people, it could be an hour just to get ready to get in a vehicle. So it's a pretty tough thing. So anyway, I'm improving my skills as a marketer and learning how to take care of these people better, and hopefully give them enormous chances that they never had.
So the individuals who are in your program currently, as you're piloting it, what are their goals? What do they hope to do as they complete?
Well, the one is a school teacher, and just like I said, she's hunched over, she's hurting. To get out of bed just kills her. So you can imagine what it's like trying to spend all day in school with those kinds of pains. So she wants to eventually, be able to retire from teaching school and have her own online business. We don't know what topic yet, but you don't have to know. In fact, there's a funny saying, if your kids don't know what they want to be in life, don't worry about it. It might not have been invented yet.
That's right.
And then the other guy is so inspirational. Actually, on our GoFundMe account, he created a video. All right. He could not even see the camera. All right. But he created this beautiful video telling about how it's opening up so much for him, what he's learning in the school. He's like 2,500. It's kind of, on one hand, it's funny because he is a kind of a comical guy too, but his screen is, his face is right in the screen, and it's as big as like a drive-in movie theater. I mean, it's enormous. And what upsets me about him is his grass looks better when he cuts it than mine. And he cuts his own grass. He can't see crap, and he even takes care of his elder parents. So he's just so inspirational guy. That's Charlie Collins. Then this Tammy can only see a little bit of light. And she just completed a master's degree from some other school, and she is just gung-ho, and she wants to help people with these accessibility things and promote herself through the internet, and that's what she's learning in the school. So that's the three we have so far, yeah.
Wow. I can tell as you talk, like it just lights you up to get to work with them and see their progress.
Helping a regular entrepreneur lights me up. And this,
yeah, me too.
Oh my goodness. And I've raised a lot of money for a lot of things. I've saved hundreds of dogs, and I fed 500 homeless kids for a year in Las Vegas with a fundraiser I did. And I'm proud of those things, Sabrina, but I look back and some of them are just Band-Aids. What happens to those kids after a year? So in this case, I'm going to change these people's lives permanently, to give them a no ceiling skill. And it's a high demand skill, I might add. Every business on earth needs, it's very nuts and bolts, shopping cart systems, email marketing, chat bots, blogs, all that stuff. And so they'll easily be able to get a job or start their own business or both. And so there's no ceiling to it where there's, right now they may be, I don't know all of their financial dealings, but they may be sitting there waiting for an assistance check once a year or once a month, so I don't want people living like that.
Well, and, I've heard, and it's really hit me that when we give money, it's not as fulfilling as when we give of ourselves and we give our time. Like you're pouring yourself into them. And you are very hands-on with their progress and what they're doing and accomplishing. So I can see how that is so fulfilling for you to be doing that.
Yeah, and I appreciate people giving money, but I personally don't like to give money because by the time it gets down to the people that need it, through all these fingers and hands and everything, it bothers me. I want to get the help directly to the people that need it in the highest percentage possible that gets there.
And you're teaching self-sufficiency through all of this. And they're already resilient. I mean, that's an A player quality right there, is resilience. So these individuals are already showing up resilient, and you're just building on that with them. So I do want you to have the opportunity to share the GoFundMe link with us. Where could people, if they want to contribute to this effort, where could they do that?
Well, basically, yeah, it'll be something you probably want to click on because those links are weird, but I'd like you to just read about it at my school site is imtcva.org/disabilities, plural. And at the top is the GoFundMe account, and you'll see the video that Charlie made that you just can't believe. I mean, it's a beautiful video. You would never know unless he said, I can't see the camera here, but he's doing this 3-minute video just off the top of his head. Amazing. And we're doing pretty well. We're about 25% to our goal. We've raised about 18,000 out of 76,000 we're shooting for. And any little bit helps. And we always offer some people, if they're really flush with cash, they could sponsor a person themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's going well. And I wrote a book. Everybody that contributes more than $47 gets a copy of my latest book on crowdfunding.
Oh.
And it tells you all the methods to do. And crowdfunding is so legit. I mean, it's a way to bring in money. In fact, that's the name of the book, How to Get the Money to Finance Your Dreams and Never Have to Pay It Back. And it's totally legit. Even celebrities are doing it, not necessarily because they don't have the money, but to get engagement, get people involved. And one of the reasons I did it for this program, I didn't have to, but I want a lot of people and a lot of awareness. And these people are introducing me to places I would have never found on my own that can take it even higher. So crowdfunding is a very viable way to finance what you want to get done.
Okay, so for anyone who didn't catch it the first time, give the link again, and we'll also put it in the show notes.
Okay, it's the Internet Marketing Training Center of Virginia. So it's imtcva.org/disabilities, plural.
All right, thank you for that. So you have such a breadth of knowledge on internet marketing. And my business has been on the internet for 15 or 16 years, and I would never claim to be an expert. There's so much to know about internet marketing. So, and one of the basic questions we get a lot is just about shopping carts. Like, if you want to accept money on the internet, right, it's important to know how to do it. And it's not as easy as it could be. So what can you tell us about what we need to know about shopping carts?
Well, a couple of things in that you want a shopping cart system, not just a shopping cart. So one of the things people fall into is your hosting service gives you a free shopping cart just to try to get you to host with them because you don't know any better. And so it's usually a piece of garbage and it won't do all the cool things you need to do. And then what happens, Sabrina, when you have a separate email system and a separate shopping cart, you get the same people in both databases. And, you might have 1,000 email subscribers and 300 customers, and those 300 customers are in this database and this database. So every time you email them, they get duplicates and stuff like that. I mean, now that happens to me. All right. But I had 150,000 subscribers before any of this stuff was invented. So I have stuff all over the place. So you do get duplicates from me, but that's not a good practice to start out with. So the shopping cart systems should be able to do a lot of things, and there's 30 or 40 things that should do, but I'll give you a couple big ones now. One, you should be able to run multiple websites off of one cart, because some of the ones that are promoted heavily are installed on that one website, but nobody lives on one website anymore. They have multiple things, and you're better off to have specific topics rather than jack of all trade websites. So then if you had 3 websites, you've got 3 separate shopping carts, 3 different databases. You're pulling your hair out. You have no idea what's going on. And so it should be able to handle multiple folks. It also should include your complete email marketing system, broadcast emails, and autoresponders. If you surveyed a bunch of guys like me that have been in it for a long time and ask them, what's the most powerful thing ever invented for marketers online, they wouldn't say Facebook, none of that stuff. They would all at least high on the list would be sequential autoresponders. This means a first message goes out, and then you can tell how many days the next message goes out automatically and so forth. So that all needs to be in one place. So when somebody buys something, the easiest person to sell is the one that has their wallet out, right? We'll maybe talk about upselling a little bit, but upselling after the sale is where you use autoresponders. So they buy the first product. Oh, thanks for buying. They get an email. 3 days later, hey, did you get your product used? If you have any trouble, call me. Boom, boom, boom. 5 days later, hey, you should have been deep into using your product now. If you have any questions, call us. We'll help you out. A week later, hey, because you bought so-and-so, here's a coupon code for this new thing we just got. It's automatic. Money comes in once you set it up. We have autoresponder messages going out sometimes 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, every week or whatever. And so that's where you make the money, is using these tools. You know, I gave them out last time I was on your show, an automation book, and we have a new, I think, a little updated version of it now to give them later.
Okay.
But these are just the things that bring the money in. And all these cheapo free carts that they throw at you from a hosting service don't do all this stuff. So that's just a couple things that make you more money.
So are there several carts that you would recommend that would be at this higher level?
Well, full transparency, I've been the top reseller for one shopping cart company for 19 years. And so it's my version is called Kickstart Cart. And one of the reasons I'm the top reseller is because we give one-on-one unlimited free tutoring to use it. Some of these carts that have come out are 3 times more expensive. I had one lady, I don't want to laugh because it hurt her really bad, but it's crazy. She was spending $4,000 a month for a $400 a month shopping cart, $400 a month, plus $4,000 just to get somebody to figure out how to use it.
Oh my God.
See, some of them are super complicated, and not that it wasn't a good cart, but you need a team of geeks to operate it to take advantage of all of it. So the one I've been promoting all these years does 90% of the other one, a third of the cost, and you get unlimited training for free. So that's probably why I was the biggest.
Yeah. Well, and simplicity and support is very important.
Yeah, for small business, because I'm a small business advocate. The big companies don't like me because I got best of the web one time in Inc. magazine on a website that cost at the time $650. Today it would cost me $150, and all 3 that I beat cost $1 million each.
Oh my goodness.
and the panel of CEOs said, "Well, why did this guy win?" They said, "Well, I could find what I wanted fast, and it was easy to navigate." That's all they cared about. They didn't care about all the fancy bells and whistles you can do with a website. So being too fancy can be counterproductive.
Oh, I can attest to that, because our website, we've gone fancy and big, and then it breaks down, and then it's a mess. And now we're trying to just bring it back down to simple, simple, simple. And so one of the big messages you had for us the last time you were on the Profit by Design podcast that really has stood with me is, minimum viable product. Do things in a simple way. You don't have to have all the fancy bells and whistles. And that creates the opportunity for there to be profit in the business, because it is very easy when you get into internet land to spend a lot of money. You can do ads, you can have a fancy website, and then there's no profit left because you have so many expenses involved.
Since I last talked to you, Sabrina, I wrote a book called The One Sentence Business Plan. And I've lived by this my entire career since I'm a little kid, 10 years old. So it's one sentence. Well, of course, it took me 60 pages to write to tell you how to do it. But here's the one sentence. I create quality products that people actually want at a reasonable price, and I service them after the sale. If every business on earth would do that, they would save millions on their mission statement that nobody in the company knows about, and just take care of customers with products that they want and service them after the sale. Simple.
Yeah, so customer service is such a big deal. And I think it's so easy because we're so virtual now, especially since the pandemic. It's easy to get into all of the automation. But if we remember, there's people behind those subscribers on the email list, and there's people who want help and who are trying to find the resources. And if we just add that personal touch, it goes a long way.
Well, I'll tell you what, most of the people at my level won't even talk to you. And it really irks me because And a lot of times I take the money because I'll get on the phone and help somebody with no prospects of selling them anything. And then they'll go refer me. They'll join my mentor program. They'll do all kinds of stuff. And I give a lot of consultations as bonuses to products because the person that actually takes advantage of the consultation is the most gung-ho, the most likely to refer me, the most likely to buy more stuff. And it just makes sense to me as a marketing tool. But a lot of people are, a lot of the generation coming up is entitled and they want the most money for the least effort, where I say, I'm going to give the best value and I'll get the most money. And that's the way it's worked for me for many, many years.
Yeah. So even with technology at your disposal, you are intentionally putting in that personal level of service. And really.
Yeah, and you can automate some of it. All right. Now, in fact, there's studies come out that 80+% of customer service will be done by chatbots in this year and next year. It's already up to that point. But the chatbot says, hey, and chatbots are kind of fun because you can make little avatars that are funny. So my little chatbot is called Screwy because of my Screw the Commute podcast. And so it's a little screw looking guy, funny looking cartoon character. Say, hey, it's Screwy. What were you looking for? Internet marketing or professional speaking stuff or entrepreneurship? Click here. And it leads them through stuff. And then if Screwy gets confused, it says, well, here, contact Tom. He'll help
Nice.
you. So the front end of it, before they even get to me, a lot of times they've gone and seen what they wanted to know. And I don't have to talk about it forever on the phone when they finally get to me. So yeah, you can automate some of it, but the personal touch and emojis are good nowadays. And then we use a thing, Sabrina, called glanceable marketing nowadays. See, I see these websites. I've critiqued over 10,000 websites since I've been doing this. And people want to tell their whole life story, their CV right on the homepage. And I hate to be so blunt, but people are morons. They can't read nowadays. I mean, did you see this one city or state is knocking out being able to read or write or math to get a high school diploma? It was in the news last month. I think it was Oregon somewhere. I can't remember, but Washington or Oregon. So even though how pitiful that is to me and a learned lady like you, that's the reality of the situation we're in. And so, in fact, I had a student that was functionally illiterate till she was 30 years old, and she was a college graduate. She came from Puerto Rico to New Jersey, and the New Jersey high schools were like, just move them through. Just get them out of here. Just move them through. Graduate high school, illiterate. Was such a hustler at that point, got everybody to do her work in college, graduated college, and then at 30 years old, she said, I probably should learn to read.
Oh, my goodness.
So unfortunately, you have to, dumb it down to the lowest common denominator. And glanceable marketing means big headline with a couple words on it. It means infographics that are mostly pictures telling the story with a little bit of text. And you just can't pummel them with deep, and also with everybody being on cell phones, you put a big paragraph that you'd write on your doctor's thesis. There's 3 screens of dense text on here. And people are like, oh my God, I can't read that.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. And they get headaches and eye strain. And besides, that's for the older folks. The younger folks are just saying, there's no way I'm reading that.
Yeah.
So what you do is you lead them as they click through deeper and deeper, you can get more in depth. But if you hit them in the front with dense text, forget it.
Yeah. I think we all have that immediate reaction when we go to a website, especially on our phone, and we see the long paragraphs. It's like, whoa, it's too much. I'm not ready for that yet.
Some study out of Canada said that people make a decision on whether to stay at your website in 1/20th of a second.
I believe it.
They didn't read anything in 1/20th of a second. They just got a feeling. And the feeling said, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want to get into a little more with you about the upselling component, because I think there's a significant opportunity for entrepreneurs. And what is your experience with entrepreneurs and how we relate to upselling?
Well, first of all, we call it, do you want fries with that? All right. So it's an old McDonald's thing, right? Upselling has made me and many, many of my students and all other entrepreneurs that know about it a fortune. And I have a formula for it that I'm going to teach everybody right here on this call. So if they do it this way, I can virtually guarantee that 30 to 50% of the people that are exposed to your upsell will go for it, which means a lot of extra money. See, because most of the money is to get people there in the first place.
Right.
All right. So the method would be you have to, well, I'll use an example of let's say as a guy going to buy a new suit. So he goes into Today's Man and he's allotted in his mind $600 for this new suit. So he goes into Today's Man. Are you laughing because that's too cheap or too expensive? I don't know where you live.
No, I know you're going to tell us something funny. I'm getting ready.
No, it's funny because it's funny money. So when he goes in to buy his new suit, and he decides and he picks out a suit and they're fitting him up. They say, anybody that buys a suit this week, it's 2 for 1 on shirts and ties. 30 to 50% of the people will go for that. So the formula is you pick an upsell product. So first of all, upselling means they've already decided to buy one thing. It's not, you don't hit them with all this in the beginning. They've decided to buy that suit. So once they make that decision is when you show them the next thing. And if the next thing is related to the first thing, that's a part of the formula. If it's a cheaper thing than the first thing, and if it's a deal, that's the simple formula that's made me a fortune over many years. As they decide to buy one thing, I offer them something related that's cheaper and give them a deal on it. Even on the smaller stuff, like I had the eulogy books and my wedding toast books that I've sold, for years and years and years. And so when they buy the eulogy book, right now they're offered 101 nice things to do after the funeral to help the family. But prior to that, I'm thinking, man, my wedding book's probably not a good upsell for the eulogy. so I had to come up with that other one. Yeah. And so 30 to 50% of the people go for it. It's related, it's cheaper, it's a deal. See, so if you do that, that can add enormous amounts of money. Now, it will work sometimes the other way. So if somebody was doing a speech in Virginia Beach and they said, oh, darn, at lunch, I've got gravy on my tie. I got to go jump in and get a new tie at Today's Man. So they go in Today's Man to buy a tie, and the guy says, oh, anybody that buys a tie today gets, we got $1,800 cashmere suits on sale for $1,200. You want one? So maybe once in hundreds and hundreds, somebody would go for it, but chances are it's not going to work that way. But 30 to 50%, if you use that first formula, will go for it. And it's just meant an enormous. And people get me sometimes on the little stuff. They say, oh, Tom, another $10 here and there. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That extra $10 is coming in. And it adds up to a lot of money that's pretty much free money. And if it's digital products, it's 97% profit, and it's just electrons. So I'm not shipping stuff or have to go to the post office more or anything because that's upsell.
Yeah.
And you got to have a good shopping cart to do this. Of course, mine does it, of course.
Yeah. And you want those autoresponders and the sequencing to work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. And that's upselling after the sale. What I just described is upselling at the point of purchase, POP.
Okay.
Autoresponders is upselling after the sale. So now one sidebar tip I'll throw in is I want people to get used to getting emails from me that help them. I don't want to be selling right off the bat. They bought one thing and I hit them with an email, buy this now. No, I want them to, when they see my name, I want them to say, oh, there must be something good for me in here because he's always giving tips and everything. And then down the road, they don't care if you've, put a solo ad for something in or give them a coupon code. And everybody loves a sale. So coupon codes are another, absolute must in a shopping cart system. And you can customize them to the group so they really feel a part of it. See, so all of those are little things that make you more money to the point where you can take this job and shove it. That's what
I love it. So we have so many viewers who are seasoned entrepreneurs, and we need to be reminded of these things. And we also have the new entrepreneurs coming in. So this is great for all of us to hear this information that you shared with. I know you've mentioned you have an ebook with lots of tips that you wanted to share with our profit designer. So I want to give you the opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah. So when I moved here to Virginia Beach, I was already making lots on the internet. And I got, like I said, up to 150,000 subscribers and 65,000 customers I was handling myself with one part-time temp person who didn't handle customers. So it was me. So I learned all these automation techniques on how to really handle and get back to people lightning fast. And I wrote a book on how to automate your business that has these techniques in there. Some of them are free, some of them are cheap. The one that I always talk about that I've been using since 1997, we actually estimated it saved me about 7.5 million keystrokes.
Whoa.
One $20 program for your PC can do this. And also it's got cell phone automation techniques. There's all kinds of ways that you can respond to people. Even if you're in a meeting where you can't talk to Siri or somebody, you can automate the answer in the keyboard thing here. So there's all kinds of those things in this book. So it's you get your own copy at screwthecommute.com/profits by design. That's where you get it.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you go to my site, it's going to cost $27. No, so you got to give Sabrina's going to, because you're listening to this, you get it for free. So you will thank me for this, folks, if you even do a portion of it, because it allows me to ethically steal customers from people too slow to get back to others. If you get back quickly, a lot of times you're going to get the money from that prospect that's looking for your product or service. So just, and it'll cut your workload down, just crazy. So yeah, and they're time tested for, 29 years I've been on the internet, something like that.
Wow. Well, that is very helpful. And I will make sure that we get that into the show notes so people can click it and get the free version. I appreciate you making it free for our listeners.
Yeah. Now, do you think people, Sabrina, want to learn how to make money fast, legitimately?
Of course.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. You want me to tell them?
Yes.
I think you'll be surprised.
Okay.
All right. eBay is where, if somebody really needs to make money fast, is where I send them, because you can literally have money coming in by tomorrow and clean your basement out at the same time with no website, because it's all there. And I grew up very frugal. I think I mentioned it before. My dad came from Syria on a cattle boat with nothing. Us kids grew up buying used lumber, and he'd make us take the nails out and straighten them up to reuse the nails. That's the kind of guy he was. And still to this day, I can't brush my teeth and let the water run, because I hear my dad, don't waste water, don't waste things. So I buy a lot of stuff off of the buying apps like Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, those kind of places. And I bought something off of eBay, which the guy was local, which normally it's all over the place, but he's local. So I'm going to go pick this tool up at this guy's house. So I go over, and he's got this $500,000 motorhome sitting out front. His house is beautiful. He comes to the door. He's dressed beautifully. He invites me in down to his shop where I'm going to buy this tool. So we go down the hall, we go downstairs, we're going down towards his shop. And Sabrina, everything up to this point is normal.
Okay.
So as we're going towards the shop, I look over, and on his ceiling of his basement, there are hundreds of ladies' bras. And so I'm thinking, my mind starts going everywhere.
Ooh, this is getting a little creepy.
I'm like thinking, oh my God, he lures people here off of eBay and kills them and hangs their underwear up. I'm thinking all this stuff, right? And so I go in, I'm watching him like a hawk because he's got all these hammers around and stuff. I don't want to get hit in the head. I buy the tool. Everything's normal. He's a good guy. He's talking to me about his dad, taught him to use the tools, and me too. And all is fine. I buy the tool. We're going out, and I'm, of course, walking behind him because I don't want him behind me. And I say, I got to ask you, what's all these bras hanging up on your ceiling? And he says, oh, my daughter goes to all the thrift stores. They all know her. She knows all the sizes and everything. She buys them up, fixes them up, and cleans them, sells them on eBay. $200,000 a year she makes selling used bras on eBay.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, darn, I mean, if I hang around the thrift store bra department, I'll call the police on me or something. So, man, I can't do this idea, but it's a great idea.
Well, I will tell you, Tom, I have firsthand experience, not with the used bra sales, but with selling my home and downsizing. I had a lot of stuff to get rid of. And so I started listing things on Facebook Marketplace. And I had this old firewood rack outside, and as I was listing things and people were buying it, people went crazy over used lawn furniture. I had 35 people, and they were upset because one person was the first person who bid on it, and I sold it to somebody else. But there was so much in my inbox, I couldn't keep track of who, and they were wanting to outbid each other over lawn furniture. But the most amazing part was I had this old fire ring, and I put it up there, and I charged $10. I just thought somebody would want it for something, and this lady came and bought it, and she was walking out, and she said, "I am so excited to have this." She said, "This is going to be just perfect." And I thought, what is she doing? She was using it in her garden to grow vines around this fire. I was like, if I'd have thought of that, I'd have kept it. I'd use it myself.
Or jack the price up. Yeah. Well, listen, this other friend of mine, her name is Lynn Drawley. I think she's still doing this, but she was a single mom, and she teaches this now too, but she was a single mom. She would take $80 to $100 to yard sales every Saturday. All right, but let me tell you a little bit about eBay before I tell you her story. So on eBay, if you look at the search box on eBay, right next to it is a little link that's really valuable to you. It's called the advanced search. You click on it, and then you can click a box that says, show me completed listings only for whatever you're searching for. So it'll bring up all the auctions in the past 90 days and how much they sold for, or if they didn't sell. So you can get an idea of the prices. So she'd go to yard sales. Maybe she'd see one of these nice quality metal Tonka trucks, all right, toys, dump truck or something. So she'd go on her cell phone and say, okay, it's going for $50 on eBay, and it's going for $5 here at the yard sale. She would buy it. Now, if it was going for $50 at the yard sale and $5 on eBay, she wouldn't buy it. She was netting $1,000 to $1,100 a week, going one day to yard sales, and the rest of the week listing, just putting the pictures up and listing.
That's
stuff.
fantastic.
So if people need to make money, eBay and Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, and so it's the place to go.
Well, and it's a great way for kids, teenagers, to make money.
Get them involved too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and learn business. So I do, just to kind of circle back on the yarn store, or and that idea that you shared about how to and this is from episode 20 with Tom. If you didn't hear this, that you can turn a hobby into a business and get some tax deductions for it. So we aren't doing yarn. We are starting a little family farm.
Oh.
And we're going to have some goats and some sheep. And the human kids are going to be responsible, and they'll be selling them, and they're going to learn how to run a business with some animals.
Those little goats are so cute, and then they grow up and they turn ugly.
Well, we're looking for a couple of fainting goats just for the entertainment factor. So we did use that tip. We just went in a different direction with it. So,
wow, yeah, it's quite a different direction there.
So, in closing, I want to just point out, true entrepreneurs find opportunity everywhere. And you have pointed out through our conversation lots of opportunities to make money, where you can find employees that you might not have considered previously, how you can create opportunities for yourself if you need to. So it's been another enlightening discussion, Tom. I appreciate it.
Well, I want to encourage people to go back and listen to episode 20, because I just made some notes of the stuff that's on there. I gave a complete thing on hiring, the crazy method I use to hire, but it works beautifully. On excellence, I told you about the hobbies, making them tax deductible. Did delegation, my complaint about delegation, and also how to make a $50,000 video about yourself for pennies on the dollar. And mine, the update on that, I really was said the wrong amount of money when I saw you there. It's been about $13 million that video has made me since we made it. So it's really worth it.
Yeah. So if you want the how-to on that, it's in episode 20 of the Profit by Design podcast.
Yeah. Thank
you so much, Tom. I appreciate you being back with us.
Oh, I didn't know I was talking to a farmer now, but
Farmer Sabrina.
Yeah.
All right. See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this. If you're loving the Profit by Design podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your business or your life, would you mind doing two things? Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode, and please leave us a review. Our listener reviews help us get into the top 10 of all entrepreneurship podcasts so that more entrepreneurs like you discover us. Your review is critical in helping us make a difference for more entrepreneurs who are ready to take their life back.